Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, Blue Nose Trading. My name is Tori Solis, and today I'm going to be testing Velaris Glaze from Penguin Pottery Specialty Glaze series. I'm going to be testing this glaze on 7 different clay body test tiles, as well as on a textured white stoneware mug. Side note here, I love that this glaze is named after the city of Starlight from a Court of Thorns and Roses series. At least I think it is. I never confirmed it, but I mean, this glaze is magical purple, so it fits either way. If you haven't read the Court of Thorns and Roses series, they're pretty good. I thought the first book was incredibly boring, and it made me want to slap sense into several of the characters, but the series did pick up pretty well and got more interesting in the second and third books. Also, just a fair warning, they are spicy books with smut scenes, so use your own discretion. In any event, this is a Cone 6 glaze that's listed as lead-free, non-toxic, and food-safe. Before I use any glaze, but especially a brand new glaze, it's important to make sure that the glaze is well mixed. To make sure this glaze is unquestionably mixed, I'd like to use my power drill with an egg beater attachment. This is my favorite way to quickly mix up my glazes. These Penguin Pottery glazes typically arrive well mixed, but it's still important to mix yourself to ensure consistency and reliability with each application. I'm going to be brushing glaze onto my test tiles. In most cases, I'm brushing on my glazes. This glaze was formulated for brushing. If you want to dip this glaze, Penguin Pottery recommends that you use a dispersing agent like Darvan. I brush my tiles in 1, 2, and 3 coats with the thickest coat at the top of the tile. I fire my tiles hanging on a high alumina rod to see how the glaze will perform on a vertical surface. In this way, I'm testing for running. With the thickest coat of glaze at the top of the tile, if a glaze is going to run, it has somewhere to go. Penguin Pottery recommends 3 coats for best coverage, but I like to apply 2 coats to my test mugs and see what I can get away with. I'm still going to test 1, 2, and 3 coats on my tiles just to see, because you don't always have to follow what's recommended. With testing, we can make our own educated decisions on what effects and thickness we're going to use for our own work. I like to test glazes on lots of different clay bodies to get a rough idea of how a glaze is going to behave on different colors or surfaces. Everyone out there is working with a different kind of clay, and maybe one of these tiles can help you guess at what might happen for you. As always, I strongly recommend that you make your own test tiles in your own kiln. Fire your tiles exactly how you would fire your normal work. There are a lot of different factors that are going to go into how a glaze will turn out. The best way to see how a glaze is going to work in your kiln, on your clay, and with your application is to do your own testing. First up is the textured white stoneware mug. This purple is amazing and dynamic. We have both a darker plum and a lighter lavender that work together and break over the sharper edges of the textured surface on this mug. The surface has a perfect glossy finish and doesn't show any signs of glaze flaws or running. Purple can be a challenging color to achieve, so this is very exciting to see. On the white stoneware test tile, we can see the combination of plum and lavender, with more lavender in the areas where 3 coats of glaze were applied. The surface is glossy perfection, very impressive. The Laguna B-Mix tile looks even better than my local white stoneware. There is much more of the darker plum that comes through on the B-Mix body. It looks great at both 2 and 3 coats of application with a flawless glossy finish. The color shines bright and beautiful on Laguna Frost porcelain. The white canvas of this clay body really helps this glaze to shine at its full potential. It looks like this glaze has a slight bit of movement in the glaze on the porcelain body, but I don't think it's anything that would cause any running issues unless your application was excessively thick. On my speckled clay body, I think this glaze looks best at 2 coats where it has more of the darker purple in the mix. At 3 coats, the speckles start to melt and fade into the glaze a lot more. The surface is glossy and stable. The Laguna Speckled Buff tile has a little bit of movement, and the speckles bleed into the glaze to create an interesting effect. It looks good on both 2 and 3 coats here, it just depends on how pronounced you want your speckles to look. The surface is also great and glossy here, and I imagine it will be on most clay bodies. This glaze fits and behaves well on my red stoneware as well. I would say that I personally think this looks better on lighter clay bodies, but it looks good on the red too, and it fits well with a perfectly glossy surface. 2 coats seems to have had the best effect in this tile, in my opinion. At 3 coats, you start to get a lot more of the lighter purple that has a warmer tone on the red clay compared to the white. Now this is super cool. This glaze looks great and gives a perfect glossy surface on Laguna B3. This black clay is notoriously challenging to find glazes that fit well. If you've been with my channel for a while, you know that many glazes just cannot act right on the black clay. But this one looks great. If you work with black clay, this is definitely a glaze to test in your studio. Not only is it a great fit, it's freaking purple. Overall, this is an incredible glaze that creates a beautiful, warm-toned purple, and fits well on every clay body I tested today. I was especially impressed with how great this glaze looks on bright white clay bodies as well as on black clay. It's important to do your own testing, but I would wager that this glaze is going to look fantastic on 95% of the clay bodies out there. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope you enjoyed learning more about this glaze and can make use of this information in your own studio. If you'd like to help support my channel so I can get more glazes to test for you, consider becoming a member of my channel right here on YouTube or at patreon.com/bluenosetrading. If you'd like to see all the ceramics I currently have available for sale, visit my website, bluenosetrading.com. If you'd like to stick around for more ceramic art videos, be sure to subscribe to this channel, Blue Nose Trading. Thank you again for being here until the end of the video. Remember that you have great ideas that are worth exploring, drink lots of water, and I will see y'all in the next video.